This is Shorthammer. It is the 22nd of March, 2020, and this is Trading Zones. This past week has been really interesting, and if you watched our last video, a lot of the levels did bear up. So looking at Amazon here on the 4-hour chart, we kind of double tapped or triple tapped, however you want to call it, down here around the 1626, but our lower level is 1591. Once we regained and back tested and held the 1687s, that did give you an opportunity to take this long if you chose to. And it's just sort of legged up level to level to level. What I'm watching for, what I mentioned was watch the 1747s. Usually you get over the 1740s. It's a potential accelerator into the 1830s, which was that channel we were in after the July earnings. So you want to keep an eye on Amazon. Can Amazon go lower? Yes, it can. So you want to watch all these levels and watch how the buyers and sellers react at each one of these levels. We closed roughly around the 1830 area. Isn't that fascinating? The top of the channel. We'll see where we open, if we open gap down below that or if we hold above and gap up. A lot of news has come out as far as testing kits. The coronavirus numbers have gone up. So just be careful. I'm not part of the buy the dip crowd. I'm a part of the watch to see where we open, watch to see the trend in the market, and then follow the trend. So if I can't determine the trend in the market, then I'm not taking a trade. And so everyone has a different philosophy, and that's just my philosophy. Like, I have to be able to figure out either if we're not trending, then if we're going to be range bound, then I need to know the range. And once I have determined that range, then I'll, start to sort of leg into different positions and scout positions, but I need to be able to see those levels. So from this level, the lower support or lower demand area is 1825. Below that, you want to keep an eye on the 1805s, 1798s, 1792s. Below that, we have the 1762s and 1740s that we talked about, that 1747 area, then 1705. That's to the downside on Amazon. To the upside, you want to keep an eye on the 1850s. Above that, we're a little bit more bullish, and you can see a little bit of pop action. The 1885s are next up. That's definitely an area of, I'll say, contention, where we've had sort of speed bumps going up, going down. We break through it up, we back test. We break through it down, we back test. Above that, we've got the 1915-ish area. This says 1916s, 1930s, 1955s. Then we have our 1998s. So those are the levels that I have on Amazon. If you're an Amazon trader, premium is through the roof right now. So some people are probably grabbing shares on that. But there's tremendous range on Amazon. You don't need to go heavy in on whichever trade you're taking, but these are the levels that we have on Amazon. Keep your eyes open. I think Amazon is doing a ton of business right now, a ton of business, and the drops that they're seeing in price is primarily based on the overall market going down, and not necessarily on Amazon and sort of their performance. You got to think they're making money through Whole Foods. They're making money through Amazon Web Services, and people are ordering stuff like crazy off of Amazon right now. Prime memberships are probably shooting through the roof. So just keep an eye on that, and remember that they are now, yes, still partnering with other companies, but they have their own delivery infrastructure that they're building out and that they've been utilizing. But I like Amazon, and we'll see if this either drops some more, because the market does potentially have more room to go. But I don't want to be biased. Like when we were up around the 3400s, everyone thought it could never go down. Like this is going to go to 5,000. There was no thought of the market pulling back. Now that we're down, everyone thinks that it can never go back up. So never be too heavily entrenched or biased on either side. Just watch your levels, and whichever thesis that you're using or whatever ideas you're using to trade, just stick to that. If your thesis is that, at this level, I'm going to try to scale in, and if it rolls through this lower level, I'm going to cut and try again at the next level, or if it regains that level, just stick to your thesis. Don't flip-flop. If you stick to a steady formula, at least if you have that process, you trust that process over the results, because over time you can, what's that word? You can sort of alter your process to add and remove things that will make that process successful. But if you work from the results backwards, sometimes you get results and you can't figure out or repeat the process. So process is the most important thing. Let's move on. Looking at Microsoft next, and let's scrunch this up, push this up. Let's flip to the daily chart. I want to see what the daily looks like here. So on the daily chart on Microsoft, it's like we're stuck in this little area here. So this 147, and it looks like the lower area is around 135, so above the 131. We haven't gotten an advancement to the downside below this 134-ish area, 134, 135-ish area. So I'll keep an eye on that. So if you see, how many days is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're in this little box for 5 days, right? 147 by 135. So what you want to do is, for me, what I would do is I'm going to create an alert that tells me, hey, if this thing gets through there, I want to know it, right? And we'll see if it does. I want to know if we get above this 147 area. So I'm gonna put an alert right above this. Actually, I should put an alert right below, because I want to know exactly when price approaches that area. Yeah. So add alert. I want to know, because you see this little box here last week? That's interesting to me. Hold on, did I add the alert? Did I not add the alert? You could always tell when I am not paying attention, because that's when I'm not sure if I added an alert or didn't add an alert. So we'll see. Okay, it should be there now if it wasn't there before. But I'll definitely be watching this area here. We'll see what we get here. But this to me is interesting. That's Microsoft. So below you have the 131, and below that you have the 120.39, and it's interesting. But right here at the 142, it appears that we had a little bit of contention, a little bit of a plateau, and we went sideways and we broke above. So you would think that this level right here would be a level where we'd see buyers step in, but we're a little bit below that. But what we can't get is advancement in price right now, it seems. So we're kind of stuck here in this little area. But an advancement below this may open up the 120s. So we'll see how this works. I'll be keeping an eye on these levels. This 135-ish area and the 147 on Microsoft. All right, let's move on. This is Netflix, and voila, Netflix has back tested that trend line that we mentioned in our last video. I believe this is from September. Yep, from September. So what you want to watch for here is, do we get an advancement in price? Let's check the 4 hour so we can see where we are specifically. We rejected that. We're down here. So rather than being up here, we're here. So we did reject that trend. So what we want to watch for is, let's see, 331. It's actually trying to bounce here on the 330.07 or 330 hold, I'll say. Probably easier to say. This 330 supply demand area. We'll see if we pull back up to the 335s. But What you want to watch for below this is the 317s, and below that, the 306s. Above, we have the 335, 343, and then 361. If we can get some strength above this trend line and a squeeze, the 360s may be on deck. So we'll see. But you can see this drop where we tried to bounce here. So you can see this is probably a separate segment or plateau. So we dropped below that, and we've had trouble holding above that since this drop. So these 343s are a significant level on Netflix to keep an eye on. If we can get and hold above that, we should definitely see a little bit of upward momentum, at least into the next supply demand area around the 360s. We'll see. But that's what I'm watching on this trend, and also on the candle structure on Netflix here. Let's move on to NVIDIA. NVIDIA on the 4 hour, we're just above the 200 hole. And let's take a peek. Where have we been? See a little flare down there. Around 180s. Pull back up. 230s. The range has just been amazing. Looks slightly bearish right on the 4 hour. Like we definitely get a tag at the 200 hole. And we may get a dip. But what you see is interesting, right? Look around this 194 area. So if you look at this 194 area, it seems that this may be an area to watch. I'm going to snap an alert there. I like that. I like that candle structure on the 4 hour. And we'll see if it means anything. But I want to see what happens when price gets here. And if we roll through this bottom, let's see. I want to see some candle structure. I'll pop up a daily chart. I want to see where we could potentially go below the 180s. But this price point here is the 200 hole. Below that, we have the 180s. And below that, 157s. Above, we have the 216s, the 221 area. And above that, the 229, I think this is, 230s. So we'll see how NVIDIA shakes out. The trend for NVIDIA is all the way up here around 252. And that's a long-term trend. So that trend is broken. And it looks like we tried to back test here and failed to regain to the downside. So we'll see how that works out. Let's switch this to the daily chart real quick just to get a quick peek. Slightly higher time frame. Buyers should step in here. Look at this little plateau. Plateau here. Slight plateau here. So we do see that area, but we'll see if so this makes sense here. We see the number of days that we battled around this area. So we'll see if buyers keep it honest and technically hold us above this, and what the reaction to the weekend news will be. Let's check out CMG. Oh, wow. CMG rolled right through our lower levels and then popped back up. This is going to be, so earnings is April 23rd. Wow. Earnings is right around the corner. Let's crunch this up. So what's our, okay. So above the 498s should be a little bit of structure there. Bottom in action here on the 386s. Okay. Well, this is interesting. So if we're looking at it pulled below our 526 area, I didn't even draw the lines down here. See, I have my lines for this on TOS, but let's see. So below 526, you'd definitely be watching the lower 386 area. But we do want to watch to see if we can regain the 607s and potentially the 656s on CMG. CMG is interesting. I would keep an eye on them because they have added a lot of drive-throughs to quite a few locations. So they've been definitely leading heavily excuse me, to the delivery side. So we'll see how that works out. But I am not really building any long positions yet, to be honest. Let's see if Intel rolled through. Intel. Okay. So Intel is not advancing too much below this 45.40. We're looking at price 47.25, 48, 49.09. So it's like stuck in this little similar thing, like a little box here. Maybe up to 51s, but I like this area here. This 45 by 49 is the area to really start watching it. So let's look to the 4-hour. See what we look like on the 4-hour. See exactly where is price. Oh, look at that. We're flattening out right above this 45 area. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on Intel. Look at these bottoms here. And look how we're flattening out right above this 45, 46 line. And so below we have 42.88. But as you see, price has not advanced below this point. The buyers are keeping us above this, it seems this 44 area. And so above we have 47.25, 48, and then 51. So let's flip this to the daily and see if we see some candle structure to explain why. Oh, we see a bunch of candle structure, a bunch of interactions here. Here we see buyers stepping in. Here we had sellers saying no till we broke above held before that. Here we see springboard. Just there is a magnetism to this area. So you can see it under overs. So that may be why. Because remember, price action has history. And so whenever there's a level that holds, there's a history to that level usually where, buyers remember or algos remember, however you want to put it. Let's move on. Intel's interesting. Let's see, Dollar Tree. So we did get a little bit of a pop and a run back. Almost reached the 79 area. So right around 75, we're at the midpoint. We shall see where we open, but we did make lower lows here. You see that all the way down to the 60 hole. My gosh, on that flare down. Let's see, where are we right now? Check the 4-hour. 65, so 75. So below 72, below that 65, above 79, above that 84. Well, a lot of these stores, this is interesting. We had to keep an eye on it. I did hear someone mention that they thought that there would be a bit of selling on consumer staple companies like Walmart. I'm not sure if they would include Dollar Tree as a company that would also be selling or had more downside. So we'll see how that shakes out. But just keeping an eye on this, a lot of these tickers are down, 20% or so. So keep an eye on Dollar Tree because I do believe that as things get tight, a lot of people will be shopping at Dollar Tree. I guess the question is, how strong is their supply chain and how many or how much inventory do they have on hand? So that could be the questions here of whether they have a record quarter as far as moving inventory, or if they don't because they just don't have the inventory, and who knows the answer to that question. So that could be interesting on Dollar Tree. Man, Goose is just if you look at Goose, isn't this interesting? It's not advancing in price to the downside, not that much. It's sort of you see a lot of these tickers are just riding levels. So it's riding this 1490 level right below our 1570s, but it's just riding this level, not really advancing with any momentum to the downside. We'll see if that changes next week, but this almost looks like a bottoming area, and that's a dirty word these days, but I'll be keeping an eye on Goose and seeing if we can see a little bit of acceleration above this level and a buyback up. But look at these tops here, right around the 1658s. That's an area that we may want to set an alert to say, hey, if we get above that, I want to come back and take a look at you to see what's going on. So that could be an interesting area to watch. And if we get back below the 40, I'll put it here, like this area here. I don't know if we get back below that every time. Yeah, I want to alert if we get back below that. Keep an eye on Goose because I may be looking for some long-term positions in Goose. And see, next up, let's try. I do like to keep an eye on ABBV. And we've had a significant dip here, down here around the 66s. This is a ticker that I definitely will be watching. I do like that they did really well last earnings. And this may be something that I look for a longer term position in. They just beat. So I'll be watching them closely headed into April on ABBV. I do like these lower levels. Let's see. Prices rallied. Yeah, I do like ABBV. So I'll be keeping an eye on ABBV headed into April. And we'll probably put on I'm actually have to talk to Elisa about putting on a complex strategy for this. Maybe long, but she knows how to put on those complex option strategies. So I'll have to ask her what she would recommend, what type of play she'd recommend on ABBV for potential upside push. We'll see. Let's see, did I do anything for Facebook? Did Facebook drop below? Facebook is around the 150s. This is on the daily. I didn't even draw any lines below this. Look at that. Look at that dip. Look at that. But if you're just looking at candle structure, yeah, this is a place that price should have turned around. Potentially, see these 126s. The dips back into here, looking at the candle structure. But I've been avoiding Facebook, to be honest. But we'll see how this works out. We have a level here at the 150, 60s that we have. You could say you have some structure here on the 141s. Then here on the 161s, the 173s, looks like significant structure. But I am, check the 4 hour. Let's see, it looks like we may be seeing a little bit more downside here if it pops this, breaks this. May want to roll down here. Look at these areas here. That looks like it held up for a few days. 143.57 area. We may roll below that segment, but look at that. That's an interesting area to watch. I have to see where we are next week because we could actually open up, gapped up. So I'll be watching and probably trading the futures. To be honest, I would definitely love the futures. And let's see what other ticker do we like? I do like those. But that's good. I'll probably do a follow-up video with a few of the other things that we're keeping an eye on. If you like this video, please don't hesitate to click the like button. And if you'd like to receive more content like this, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Power of Pivots, where you can get videos like this from me. And also you'll be able to get videos from Elisa as she shows you how she utilizes her Power of Pivot script to find great intraday and swing plays, and also plays on the futures and other markets. Thank you for your time and have a wonderful week trading.